Imagine spending days deep in the wilderness, miles from the nearest trailhead, carrying everything you need to survive, alone. For some, that's pure freedom. For others, it's terrifying, and I get it. Solo backpacking can feel like a massive leap. But after over 100 solo trips in the last 5 years, I've learned how to make every adventure safe, exciting, and totally unforgettable. Today, I'm sharing the biggest solo backpacking mistakes and how to avoid them so that you can tackle the trail with confidence and make your trip one to remember. All right, number 1, wildlife encounters. Let's start with one of the biggest fears people have about solo backpacking: wildlife. The truth is, most wildlife encounters happen because we're unprepared or inattentive. The first mistake: not researching the animals you're likely to encounter. On some trails, black bears might be your biggest concern, but brown bears are completely non-existent. And snakes? Sure, they're out there, but most species in North America are harmless unless they're provoked. And mountain lions, while they are intimidating, they usually want nothing to do with us. Out on the trail, you're more likely to encounter animals that seem intimidating at first, but are usually harmless. For example, a wild boar might cross your path, but they tend to dart into the brush once they notice you. Bobcats are shy and solitary, and you'll be lucky to spot one at all. Coyotes might hang back out of curiosity, but they'll usually keep their distance. And then there are cows. Believe it or not, these guys have caused me more tense moments than any predator, especially when calves are around. A protective mother cow blocking the trail can be a surprisingly stubborn obstacle. And another common mistake when it comes to wildlife: neglecting basic precautions. Poor food storage is a big one. Keep your food in a bear canister, hang it properly, or at least stash it away from your campsite. Whatever you do, don't leave food near your tent. Animals have an incredible sense of smell. So what do you do if you actually do run into wildlife? For black bears, make noise, stand your ground, and don't run. They mainly want your food, so your goal is to scare them off by being loud and assertive. For brown bears, the strategy changes. Stay calm, avoid sudden movements, and back away slowly while speaking in a low voice. If the bear charges, stand your ground. It's likely a bluff. If it attacks, use bear spray and protect your vital areas. With snakes, just give them space. They won't bite unless provoked. And mountain lions, look big, stay loud, and back away slowly if necessary. And then there's the little guys: squirrels, marmots, you name it. I once had a marmot in Yosemite stalk my campsite for hours trying to get into my food stash. They're not dangerous, but they'll test your patience. Stay alert, even with the small guys. So staying safe when you're out solo. When you're solo backpacking, not taking safety seriously is one of the biggest mistakes you can make. Out there, you're on your own, which means no one else can step in if something goes wrong. The first step: always leave a detailed trip plan with someone you trust back at home. Make sure they know your route, your expected return time, and any backup plans you might have. This simple step ensures that someone knows where to look for you if you don't return on time. Another common mistake is not adjusting your approach to risky terrain. Scrambling over rocks, crossing slippery streams, or navigating areas with exposure is way riskier when you're alone. Slow down, assess every step. Without a partner, one small slip could turn into a big problem. River crossings are another area where you need extra caution. Rushing into fast-moving water is never a good idea, but especially while you're solo. Take the time to find a safer crossing, or even wait for the water to recede if it's high from a recent rain. And pay close attention to the conditions around you too. Pushing through bad weather or ignoring signs of your own fatigue are mistakes that can escalate quickly. Solo backpacking isn't about pushing through every challenge. It's about knowing when to stop, rest, or even bail if things get dangerous. And what about injuries? Getting hurt while you're alone can seem overwhelming, but it's manageable if you're prepared. You don't need advanced medical training, just focus on the basics. Learn how to treat blisters before they ruin your hike, stabilize an ankle if you twist it, or control bleeding if you get cut. These simple skills can turn a tough situation into one that you can actually handle. So always do bring a first aid kit, and more importantly, know how to use it. So getting lost is every solo backpacker's worst nightmare, right? And it happens more often than you'd think. The first mistake: relying solely on GPS. Don't get me wrong, I carry a smartphone and I use the Gaia GPS app on every trip. It's an amazing tool, but batteries die, signals fail, and screens can break. That's why you should always bring a paper topographic map and a compass. And be sure you know how to use them. Another common mistake while you're out there on your own is drifting along through a hike without checking your position regularly. Don't wait until something feels off before consulting your map. Instead, make it a regular habit to match the landmarks around you, like rivers, trail junctions, or steep descents, with what you see on your map. Trust me, it's way better than realizing a mile later you missed a turn and now you have to turn around and climb back up a hill. Before you even hit the trail, download offline maps to your GPS app and study the key features of your route. Knowing where the major junctions, water sources, and elevation changes are will help you avoid second guessing yourself. And if you do get lost, don't panic. Stop, take a deep breath, think back to the last point where you were sure of your position and backtrack carefully. If that doesn't work, use a whistle or a signal mirror to make yourself visible. And if you have one, a personal locator beacon or a satellite communicator like a Garmin InReach can be a literal lifesaver, allowing you to call for help when nothing else works. Even getting lost while you're backpacking solo doesn't have to be a disaster if you're prepared. Carry the right tools, use them proactively, and stay calm when things don't go as planned. So what gear do you need when you're on your own? While you're solo backpacking, gear mistakes can have a bit more of an impact. You don't have a partner to lend you a headlamp if your batteries die or share tools if something breaks. That's why packing the right gear is essential. So let's start with a piece of gear that I recommend for every solo backpacker if you can afford it: a personal locator beacon or a satellite communicator. If you're not familiar with these, they're devices that let you call for help when there's no cell signal. I personally use the Garmin InReach Mini. It's small, lightweight, and has an SOS button that connects you to emergency responders. It's one of those things you hope you'll never need, but if something goes wrong, it can save your life. Next up, be sure to bring a first aid kit tailored for solo use. You don't need to carry a full pharmacy, but your kit should at least include essentials like blister treatment, bandages, pain relievers, and any personal medications. When you're out there alone, even small injuries can become big problems if you're unprepared. Now let's talk about something that isn't technically gear, but is just as critical: bringing extra food. When you're out by yourself, you can't bum an extra protein bar from a buddy if you run out. You're working with the food that you brought, and that's it. So always pack more food than you think you'll need, enough for at least an extra day. It might mean a bit more weight in your pack, but you'll thank yourself if something unexpected happens, like bad weather, a navigation error, or just burning more calories than you expected. Remember, you're doing everything yourself: setting up camp, cooking, gathering water. These things all burn calories. Ultimately, the gear you bring on a solo trip has to work. There's no backup plan if something fails, so every item needs to have a purpose. Solo backpacking is all about expecting the unexpected, so pack smart, trust your gear, and stay safe. All right, so you're ready to try a solo trip. How do you prepare? One of the biggest mistakes people make with solo backpacking is diving in without the right preparation. Confidence in the backcountry isn't something you can fake. It's built step by step through experience. If you're new to backpacking, start with some group trips. That way you'll learn the basics like packing your gear and managing a campsite with the safety net of others around. Once you're comfortable backpacking in a group, then it's time to consider transitioning to solo trips. And if you're still feeling unsure, just try solo car camping, but bring your backpacking gear. Practice setting up your tent, cooking your meals, and packing efficiently. Make that experience as close to a real backpacking trip as possible. Use your gear, sleep in your tent, and rely only on what you've packed. This gives you a chance to troubleshoot any issues in a controlled environment. And while you're at it, try running through some what-if scenarios. For example, what would you do if your lighter didn't work? How would you handle a ripped tent? Practicing these skills now will build confidence for when you're deep in the backcountry. And lastly, don't overlook the physical demands of a solo backpacking trip. Without a partner to share your gear, you'll be carrying everything yourself. Make sure your first route matches your fitness level. Overestimating your abilities while on a solo trip isn't just uncomfortable, it can be dangerous. Solo backpacking is incredibly rewarding, but preparation is the key to your success. So here's the deal. Backpacking solo is an incredible way to connect with nature and challenge yourself, but it does come with risks. By avoiding these mistakes, you'll set yourself up for success and make your backcountry experience so much more enjoyable. So get out there, stay safe, and embrace the adventure. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you out there.